Welcome to The Explainer. So, we're all seeing these crazy headlines about AI breakthroughs, right? It feels like we're on the verge of something huge. But then you look around and, well, where are the robot butlers? It's a question I bet has crossed your mind.
We hear about AI's power just exploding, growing exponentially. Some of the smartest people in the field are saying we're just a few years away from true AGI, AI that can think and reason just like us. But for most of us, daily life feels pretty much the same. So what gives? What's the big holdup? To figure that out, let's first dive into the progress that's got everyone so excited.
Okay, so first up, the exponential dream. To really get a handle on this paradox, you got to appreciate the sheer, just mind-bending scale of the progress that got us to this point. We're talking about some serious exponential growth.
So check this out. This whole AI revolution, it didn't just happen overnight. It's been building kind of quietly for decades. Look at this timeline. It shows the insane growth in computing power you can get for the same dollar. Back in the 60s, you could get about one calculation a second. Today, 500 billion. That's not a typo. And that right there, that's the bedrock, the foundation of this whole AI boom we're living through.
And all that compounding growth, it adds up to this, a 75 quadrillion-fold increase. I mean, that's a number so big it almost doesn't mean anything. Our brains just can't picture it. But it's the real reason that things like large language models, the AIs that can chat with you, write code, create content, suddenly felt like they came out of nowhere and got so incredibly powerful.
And you can see how this explosion in raw power has completely flipped the script on expert predictions. I mean, think about it. Just a couple of decades back, in 1999, the consensus was that real, human-level AI, AGI, was maybe 100 years away. A sci-fi dream. Now, a lot of those same experts are saying it's right around the corner. We're talking 2 to 5 years. That's a massive shift.
All right, so if we're that close to something so world-changing, why doesn't it feel like it? This is where things get really interesting. It creates this confusing contradiction when you just look at the world around you. And this brings us right to the heart of what we're calling the progress paradox. So you've got these two completely conflicting stories, right? On one side, you hear people saying, hey, scaling is hitting a wall. We can't just keep making these models bigger and throwing more data at them and expect them to get smarter. But then, on the other side, you see AI capabilities just accelerating like crazy, solving problems and crushing benchmarks that everyone thought were impossible just a few months ago. So, which is it? What's really going on here?
Well, there's a name for this. Experts call it the output gap. And it's basically this weird disconnect, right, between AI's superhuman performance on all these tests and benchmarks, and its kind of minimal impact on the real-world economy. At least, so far. Getting a handle on this gap, that's the key to solving our whole paradox. So, to really dig into that gap, we have to look beyond the hype. We need a much more sophisticated way of thinking about AI's abilities. It's not just some simple number on an intelligence scale. The key idea here is what some call the jagged frontier of AI. See, progress isn't this smooth, even wave. It's not getting better at everything all at once. It's more like it surges ahead in some areas while totally lagging in others. An AI might be superhuman at finding patterns in a giant data set, but then it completely fails at something a toddler could do, like packing a bag of groceries.
And this graphic here, it shows that idea perfectly. In the past, AI skills were just this little circle, totally inside the bigger circle of human tasks. But today, you can see that AI circle has expanded, and it overlaps with the human one. It's got these spiky parts where it's way better than us, but there are still huge chunks of human skill where it can't compete. But look at where it's headed. The future suggests that AI circle is going to grow to become a superset, basically covering almost everything we can do and probably a whole lot more.
So this gets to a really important point. Focusing only on things like data plus parameters, that's a category error. It's like mistaking the flattening of one single curve for a slowdown in all of AI progress. The old way of thinking, just make it bigger, is actually blinding us to what's really happening. It's just one piece of the puzzle. And that brings us to the new frontier. It's not about more data is all you need. The real game changer is sample efficiency is all you need. It's not about feeding the AI the entire internet. It's about making it learn more from the data it does get. Learning to generalize from just a few examples, kind of like how a human kid learns what a cat is without having to see a million pictures of them.
Okay, so if the tech itself is still moving forward in these new, smarter ways, then what's the real holdup? What's actually slowing down AI from changing everything? Well, it turns out the answer isn't just about the tech. Let's talk about the real bottlenecks.
Okay, this saxophone analogy is perfect for explaining one of the biggest technical hurdles, continuous learning, or the lack of it. Think about it. A human learning to play the saxophone hits a bad note, and what do? They instantly adjust their breath, their fingers, whatever. They learn in real time. But a large language model, it's like it plays one note and fails. Then you have to send that LLM away, and a brand new one comes in that has just read a memo about the last guy's failure. It's not learning from experience on the job, it's always starting over.
And then there's the human side of things. Even if the tech was perfect, it runs smack into what you could call organizational physics. It's like hitting a wall of bureaucracy. Big companies are basically designed to avoid risk, not to jump on some radical new technology. You've got the CFO asking, okay, but what's the ROI? Legal is worried about who's liable if the AI messes up. HR is wondering how to retrain everybody. Security's freaking out about data leaks. All of these are totally fair questions, but they create so much friction that they can slow things down from next quarter to maybe in the next decade.
I love this quote from Andrej Karpathy because it just nails it. He says AI is like a jet engine. The engine itself is invented, it's real, and it's incredibly powerful. But the rest of the aircraft, the wings, the controls, the cabin, that stuff is still really immature. We have this amazing new source of power, but we're all still figuring out how to actually build the plane around it. But let's say we do. Let's say we build that plane. Where is it going to take us? Because once we get past these bottlenecks, the futures that open up are, well, they're truly profound. And it's probably not going to be one single utopia for everybody. This is where we get to our divergent futures.
So here's a fascinating idea. Even if we have super intelligence and we solve all our material problems, we're still human. And one theory suggests that there are these three core generator functions of the human condition that will still drive us. These are the things that make us tick: our desire for status and social rank, our deep-seated curiosity, the need to explore and learn new things, and finally, our need for struggle, for a challenge that gives our lives meaning.
Right, so these fundamental drives, they're not just going to vanish, but how we decide to satisfy them in this new world could lead us down some very, very different paths. It's like a fork in the road for our entire civilization.
And you can imagine at least three big possibilities. First, you might have the Terran preservationists. They choose to stay here, rewild the planet into a kind of resort Earth, and find meaning in nature and community. Then you could have the solar industrialists, who find their purpose in struggle and status by building gigantic structures, taming the entire solar system. And finally, you might have the galactic divergents, the ones driven by pure curiosity to just leave, to go out among the stars and start completely new civilizations.
So when you boil it all down, AI isn't giving us one future. It's not some predetermined destiny. What it's really giving us is a toolkit, an incredibly powerful one, to build countless different futures. The whole paradox of why it feels so slow to get here, that's temporary. That's just the friction of adoption. What it really masks is a much bigger, much more important question for all of us. When we finally have this kind of power, what will we choose to build? Who do we actually want to become?